Hey, what's up guys, your boy with Diesel here, and today I got a very special topic for you. What is classic physique? Now, I've done a video like this in the past, but it's been about 2-3 years, so I wanted to kind of re-up this video, and now that everything's kind of settled in classic a little bit more, give my opinion now on what I believe the category is and meant to be. Alright guys, so classic physique was created in 2016 due to the fact that there had been a lot of complaints over the past, we can maybe even call it a decade, of where bodybuilding was going. Guys weren't posing the same way. There were still some great posers, don't get me wrong, but we're talking about the majority, right? Majority guys weren't great posers anymore. They didn't even put a whole lot of effort into their whole stage presence. They would let the guts go in between poses, or to the fact where they didn't hold them in at all. Guys were getting, pushing the size so far or too far, because there is a certain point where you stop adding muscle in your extremities, like your arms and legs, and at a certain point you only add, size to your waistline. And these guys weren't able to recognize that they weren't actually getting bigger. They weren't actually getting better. They were just getting bigger. So, to combat all this, classic physique was created. In my opinion, classic physique was created to kind of as a callback or a throwback to years past, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, where guys were big, they're muscular, but also aesthetically pleasing. They look somewhat attainable, on that very high end of maybe I can get there after years and years of work. And guys who wanted to be, healthier. Not everybody is healthier in classic, I'm being honest with you. But it is a lot easier to stay healthier in classic than it would be for 99% of the population in bodybuilding. That's just the truth of it. Alright guys, so I want to take it back a bit and kind of look about where bodybuilding started to kind of see where classic physique should be going. In a sense, we're taking it back to go forward. So, as you guys should know, if you know your history, Eugene Sandow created bodybuilding. Oh man, in like the early 1900s, it's been a while. And Eugene Sandow was traditionally a strong man, but he had a very nice physique. And a lot of guys in the strongman world and some of his friends thought he should kind of capitalize on that. Taking it back to his childhood, he was kind of a small kid, and his father took him out to Italy, and he ended up going to a museum while he was visiting the country. Saw these Grecian statues, these Roman statues, and he actually really loved the way they looked. So much so that he kind of said, that's what I want to be. I want to be a strong man. And he would even take it as far as to create something in a few of his books called the Grecian Ideal, or the formula for the perfect physique. And the way he did this was by measuring, the biceps, the chest, the legs of the statues, and he would record them, and he would kind of find like an average between different statues that he really liked. Very interesting. I don't think we can kind of measure statues today in a museum, but he's already did it for you, so go check out his book. I forget which one it is, but he has about 4 or 5 on Amazon. You could probably find it free on the internet as well. They're maybe like $5 to $15 a piece. Alright guys, so from that little bit of history, we can kind of get an idea of why he created bodybuilding. To kind of pay respects to artists and to kind of build his body into an artistic masterpiece. And that right there kind of tells you where bodybuilding should be and what it should be, and kind of where classic should be as well. To add to that, guys, bodybuilding isn't just about, being artistic. There's also a second half to bodybuilding, and that's about reaching your limits, enhancing your limits, expanding your limits, and becoming the best version of you possible. Now, will you know what the best version of you is right off the bat? No. I want you guys to check out this video from Frank Zane of him trying to figure that out. It's a really cool video, so check this out real quick.
Yeah.
Actually, in 1982 was the year that I was in London for the Mr. Olympia that year. And I came in too big. Everybody was saying to me, you need to get bigger. So I figured I'm going to weigh 200 for the show, and I did. But in paying attention to that number, I lost track of getting ultra defined. And so if I was a little bit lighter and more defined, I think I would have won that show easily, but I didn't.
Right.
Because of that. But that was the last time I got heavy.
Yeah.
After that, I just stayed leaner
Yeah.
because it was a better look for me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So what I took from that clip was Frank Zane wasn't completely happy with his physique as it was, and that he thought he could actually, improve upon it. He thought the extra 15 to 20 pounds would actually look better, which kind of goes to show you guys that these guys weren't completely, thinking that they were perfect at the time. They always were trying to get better and improve and beat the next guy. Granted, the 20 pounds didn't look quite as good as he thought it would, but he was willing to try something new. Another video that I really like is one from Arnold Schwarzenegger. A couple years after he retired, probably a couple of decades after he retired, actually. And he's basically going through this magazine and he's looking at bodybuilders of that era, around the 90s, early 2000s, and he's being very, very impressed by these guys. And I really like the fact that Arnold didn't view the new era as bad, but just something new and different. Something he could recognize that the sport had evolved from his era, and he didn't complain and whine about it, because at that time I think it was still, on the right track. So check this video out, guys. Tell me what you think, and I'll get back to you right afterwards.
It's amazing what shape this guy's in. It's just one after the other. We have the best lineup ever.
They look good, but he was the best.
Yeah. Franco, I understand, thank you, but I mean, look at this today. It's a whole different ballgame. Look at the deltoids, the abdominals of those guys. I mean, this looks like they have 15 pounds of veins hanging around their body.
Yeah, but remember a muscle beach in California when we trained 3 hours a day and we bench pressed 500 pounds and we did 50 reps in chin-ups?
And that was only the warm-up. Remember when we went to the gym after that, trained another 4 hours, lifted thousands of pounds, and then did 1 hour of posing?
I think you should come back and compete and beat these guys.
What? Are you crazy?
And just to kind of nail the hammer in the head about bodybuilding being about self-improvement, I want to show you guys this really cool clip, and it's kind of an interesting clip. It doesn't really completely tie in with the video, but I want to throw this in here just because I really love Jay Cutler and I love his outlook on things, and I like his honesty. Check this out real quick.
I call it a sport, I call it a hobby, I call it a career, but I think of us as artists as probably the best term. I was 290 pounds at my biggest, 300 pounds. I mean, when I walked in the room, people took notice. People say, why do you want to be that big? And truthfully, I wanted to be that big because I wanted to be competitive, not because I truly, I wasn't one of these guys like, oh, I want to hit 300 pounds. It wasn't my goal. My goal was to beat Ronnie Coleman.
All right, guys, I just want to show that clip because I really appreciate Jay Cutler's honesty and his openness and his ability to kind of recognize and realize, his, the different ages of his physique and what he liked the best. I really like the fact that he could recognize that he liked the physique, early in his career, but in order to be the best, he had to, get a lot bigger than what he, thought he should have been. Another bodybuilder who also got bigger than what he wanted to was Bob Paris. But it raises a really cool question about, would we still remember Jay Cutler if he would have stayed the same size and not won those Mr. Olympias, just based on his physique, or do we only, really like him because he became Mr. Olympia? I don't know. That's a question you guys can kind of ponder and think about over your lifetime or whatever. But that brings me to the conclusion of this video. What my personal opinion of what classic physique is and what I think it represents as a competitor myself. Alright guys, so I believe classic physique is creating the most muscular physique you can, but not sacrificing your lines, your shape, your symmetry, just for 5 or 10 extra pounds. I believe it's about respecting the past, the artwork and where we came from, but also, creating something new and original. I would like to give you guys an analogy real quick about, since we always like to equate bodybuilding to art. Just imagine if music stopped in the 70s. If the 70s were the golden standard of music. The 70s was the pinnacle of, music or movies. We wouldn't have great things in like Marvel Universe. I love I love Marvel. We wouldn't have, great music. Like, we wouldn't have AC/DC, we wouldn't have Leonard Skinner, we wouldn't have Eminem, we wouldn't have any of these, great artists today, or even from the 90s or from the early 2000s, if we would have stopped progressing and stopped learning and stopped evolving. Everything evolves. Football, basketball, it is our destiny to evolve, guys. So, I just want to, stress to you guys that classic physique is not some, one-dimensional thing stereotyped from the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. We're our own unique thing, and we're just paving our own way, guys. Till next time, peace.